Kind of an exciting video today. I'm using my new desk, so I get to be standing while I talk about the movie. Kind of wish I could be talking about a bit of a better movie, but here we go. The Predator, the 2018 version. The version that I watched when it first came out and never wanted to watch again. But I've been doing these movie talks, so I figure I might as well give it another shot and share my thoughts. So I guess I'll just dive right in. The movie opens with a chase scene in space that you can hear all the explosions in space, which I kind of have my own problems with. But this is like an action horror flick. It never really intended on being scientifically accurate, so I guess hearing the explosions in space is just fine. I mean, it worked in Star Wars. No, my true problems begin with the movie when we are brought into the Predator's actual cockpit. And we see it kind of pushing buttons frantically at the control panel and then rushing to the escape pod to like run away from the battle altogether. I mean, if the Predator had a tail, at this point it would be between its legs. Something else that really bothers me about this scene, other than the fact that the Predator is painted to look like a complete bitch in this first sequence, is how the Predator is filmed. There's no like clouds of smoke to reveal like just the silhouette of the Predator. There's no tight close-ups to just focus on like a hand here or like over the shoulder there. No. We're given like entire full body shots of the Predator under no veils of smoke. It's completely unobscured. And the control panel on the cockpit is like exploding. Sparks are flying out. There's no reason there couldn't have also been smoke, to make more of like a mysterious tone. No, it's in a well-lit cockpit as it rushes around running away from battle. I mean, this Predator, unlike the counterparts from the previous movies, is here to collect some serious screen time. The very next scene, we get introduced to, I guess, the hero of the movie, McKenna. Not that I like this character much either. At least the introduction of his character is like a little more thoughtful. The camera pans across this like jungle vegetation where we see McKenna camouflaged. The camera zooms in and we find out that he's actually a sniper and he's kind of locked on his target, kind of as if he's the Predator and this is his prey. Well, at that very moment, he sees the Predator's spaceship come flying from overhead, and in that split second before it crashes, he actually shoots and takes out his target. So in this very first scene of McKenna, it already looks like he's more the Predator than the actual Predator is the Predator. Not that anything comes from this. I mean, this is kind of the coolest scene in the movie, really. But I mean, at least for a moment, the movie had me like it was going somewhere. So the spaceship crash lands behind McKenna, and he kind of makes his way to the Predator spaceship. And the Predator is like nowhere to be seen in this moment. So he's allowed to like rummage through the Predator's spaceship and like collect a few things. He gets the Predator's mask and he gets some arm cuff that he puts on and it just like secures itself to his forearm. I mean, God forbid he battle the Predator to gain some of the stuff. No, he just like stumbles upon the ship, grabs the stuff. And this whole like lucky me writing is just so lazy. I mean, what if he came to the spaceship and the Predator was there and he had to fight the Predator? But the Predator was maybe wounded during the crash land, so that kind of gave McKenna the edge to overpower the Predator for just at least a little bit long enough to get the items and then finally running away. No, this movie just has him find everything first, put the arm cuff on him, so when the Predator does show up, the arm cuff suddenly just knows what to do and just shoots at the Predator. I mean, lucky him, right? Well, McKenna ends up mailing the stuff that he found to his home address before actually being captured by the military and being deemed mentally unstable or like emotionally disturbed. I don't know. So he's put into the loony bin with a bunch of other loonies. They're all just like a bunch of like ex-military loony people that are like so one-dimensional and just so comical that they don't bring anything to the movie other than just really uncomfortable, awkward comedy relief. It doesn't make any sense for this movie. And maybe I see where they were going with this. The idea that, these mentally fragile people kind of represent like war-torn soldiers after battle. I kind of see them coming at it from this angle. But I mean, if that's something they really wanted to play with, if they really wanted to make a statement about the consequences of war on men, why does it gotta be so funny? Why do you gotta make them so comical? It's just stupid and such lazy writing. And it's not like McKenna just like passes by these characters and sees them for a moment. No, these are the heroes and they're with us the entire movie. I don't care about any one of these characters. I barely care about McKenna. I mean, it's one thing if the movie wants to introduce a bunch of just random nobody characters to just slaughter later to kind of up the body count of the movie, but I mean, hardly any of them die until the very, very end. And in the meantime, just being with them is so annoyingly boring. Meanwhile, McKenna's newfound treasure finally gets sent to his house where his son ends up getting it. And this is where we get introduced to Rory. Rory is autistic, but not real autistic. He's like the Hollywood version of autistic. He's like socially awkward, loud noises bother him, but he's like incredibly smart. In fact, he's so intelligent that when he starts going through the Predator's belongings, he's suddenly able to read and decipher some text that's like not of earthly descent. I mean, come on. Lucky him, right? I mean, this movie goes so far out of its way to just make him such like a cute and lovable character. So cute and adorable that for Halloween he puts on the Predator gear and goes trick-or-treating. And he stops at this one house. By the way, look at the address on this house. What type of person do you think lives in that house? A stoner. Like, come on, like really? That's the level we're at right now, movie 420. What is the next address going to be 69 and the people inside are having sex? Anyway, the person in this house just happens to be a bully and throws something at Rory. So the mask like lights up and just kills the bully person and blows the entire house up. And we're all supposed to think, oh, that's so cute. Like, this movie, like, nothing matches in this movie. Like, the action and violence in this movie does not match the tone and atmosphere of the movie. It's just so cutesy and, like, family-friendly. It's enough to make you gag, considering anybody who's watching this is probably a Predator fan. Anyway, the last of the main characters that we're going to get introduced to is Brackett. She's an evolutionary biologist at some university, and the FBI come and, like, take her away so she can help them like figure more about the Predator. And this is more just like lazy writing. I hate when movies do this. Rather than come up with some creative way about sharing the plot with the audience at home, they just like pluck some other character out of nowhere. That way they can just tell that new person all about the plot so we can learn it too. It's just the dumbest exposition, and this movie of course is going to go for that. So Brackett ends up finding like human DNA inside of the Predator. And from this, she theorizes that the Predators kind of collect and harvest genes from other intelligent animals to kind of improve their own DNA structure. I mean, that just kind of throws the plot of the original movies out the window, but I mean, that's what this movie wants to do anyway, so here, let's go with it. The Predator like wakes up during their like studying it, and it just starts killing everybody. Brackett just like grabs a gun like Rambo. And when I first watched this, you know, that was a big roll on my eyes, like, stupid. But after watching it again, I mean, this movie doesn't have a lot to offer, and you try to find the little bits and pieces that are good. So I figure Olivia Munn with a gun, you know, shooting the Predator is... I liked it. What can I say? Really, this movie should have just been McKenna and Brackett versus the Predator. Instead, we just have some watered-down version of like a Cuckoo's Nest and Doogie Howser kind of mashup. And they're just all so cute. About halfway through this movie, the Predator finally catches up to the squad, and it has McKenna, and it's just about to kill him, but then, lucky him, it turns out that this Predator is also being hunted by another much larger Predator, and the larger Predator shows up at just the perfect time to take out the other Predator. Seriously? I mean, I don't think this movie is capable of being even remotely tense. Whenever there's like some tense moment, we have some Deus Ex Machina come in and just save the day, and just everybody's lucky. I mean, altogether this movie is just so terrified of being remotely terrifying. And it's this level of thinking that got us to having a pet predator dog. Yeah, these dogs come to attack our idiot group of heroes. They manage to kill one of them, but the other one, they shoot in the head, and it ends up giving it, I guess, like a lobotomy. So now we just have this, like, comic relief little pet cute dog running around playing fetch. And whenever the heroes are in, like, a tough situation, it just, like, shows up and, like, spits out a grenade that it found somewhere. Lucky them. I mean, we've got the adorable, naive Rory. We've got the slapstick ex-military grunts, and now we've got the pet predator dog. I mean, why not just take the next step and just make this a PG-13 movie? This is a rated R movie. Where's the horror? Where's the gore? Where's the suspense? I mean, there's not much in this movie that an adult can relate to. I mean, the creepy and often haunting atmosphere from the previous movies is just completely abandoned. In fact, another film franchise does this very thing. The Marvel franchise completely abandons any sort of dark creepiness in the comics for, like, high-polished, big-budget action sequences. And they do this on purpose. I mean, it's to cater to a larger audience. They want to make as much money as possible. I mean, why wouldn't they do this? So if the Predator wanted to go in a similar route, shame on them, first of all, for taking a fantastic franchise and just making it a watered down piece of crap. But also, I mean, why bother with the rated R? Just go for the PG-13 and just make it for kids like you want to do it in the first place. I mean, the last scene tells you what they were going for the entire movie. They discover some kind of a care package pod from the Predators, and some scientist, puts this cuff thing on his arm, and it envelops his entire body, and suddenly he's like some futuristic Predator man. I mean, maybe we'll find out in the sequel that the Predators stole this technology from Tony Stark himself. I'm surprised Nick Fury didn't make a cameo at the end to invite McKenna to come join the Avengers. Maybe he can be the Predator man. I mean, I kind of get it. Sequels have to find some way to distinguish themselves from the previous entries. Predator 2 took the action to like the concrete jungle. Predators brought it back to the jungle, but now instead of one, there's like a bunch of predators. And I'm not saying these sequels were, anywhere near the greatness of the original. They were different, but I mean, they had enough of the original elements that you can kind of tell this is a Predator movie. I mean, if you changed the villain of Predator 2 and the Predators, you might watch that movie and think to yourself, this kind of reminds me of Predator, because those Predator elements, those like flavors, if you will, they're all there. Instead, this one just kind of gave us a high budget blockbuster action Marvel flick. I probably shouldn't fail to mention that Shane Black directed this movie. He also directed Iron Man. So, I mean, maybe the similarities aren't out of nowhere. Maybe it's just his style. But you know what else Shane Black was involved with? He wrote Lethal Weapon, Last Action Hero, The Long Kiss Goodnight. One of my favorites with Sam Jackson. I mean, do you see any of those unique elements in this movie? No, it's just a bunch of Marvel ripoff. With its high-polished action sequences, with its reliance on humor and just these fake one-dimensional characters. So, what do you think? I mean, coming out and saying that The Predator is a terrible movie, I mean, this isn't controversial. I mean, this movie is pretty much universally panned by everybody. But, I mean, was there anything you liked in the movie? I thought about this hard, if there's anything I liked in this movie. I think I do like the fact that the Predators are kind of harvesting DNA from humans. I know it kind of flies in the face of everything that's kind of been established so far, but there's no reason why, the Predators couldn't have hunted humans for a while and realized that, we are a competitive animal and maybe they want some of our DNA. It's not that far-fetched, and it's pretty unique to the story. I have mixed thoughts about the music, whether or not I like the music. I'm going to lean towards yes, but it could be a no. The reason I like it is because it's so similar to the first. A lot of the score is from the first movie, and it helped to get me in the mood for, the Predator. But that's also kind of why I didn't like it, was because, the music, which was very good, was up against, the scenes, which were just so stupid that it made me kind of not like it, but kind of like it. So I guess I have mixed feelings about the music. Anyway, use the comments down below. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe right down there. Give me a thumbs up and maybe even share. And until next time, keep watching movies.